Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. I'm so glad you're here today because we're diving into something I think every single one of us has wrestled with at some point. Those moments when the truth just doesn't feel true. You know what I'm talking about. When what feels real in your heart, your mind, your emotions, it's so loud, so convincing, but it's not actually the truth. And if you're anything like me, that disconnect can feel overwhelming. It can feel like you question everything. But here's the good news. Just because the truth doesn't feel true in the moment doesn't mean it's not true. And today, we're going to unpack that together. My name is Jason Mellard. I'm a certified high-performance coach, writer, and the founder of Own Your Identity. I'm committed to empowering men to live beyond their unwanted same-sex attractions and into their purpose through the power of Christ and for the glory of God. Let me share a personal example of what I mean when I talk about the disconnect between what feels true and what is true. For me, one of the biggest struggles I've faced has been with my romantic feelings toward other men. There were times when those feelings were so overwhelming, so consuming, that they felt like the ultimate truth about who I was and what I needed. It felt true that giving myself over to a man sexually would somehow be the answer to this deep longing I felt to be wanted, to be loved, to feel whole. That's what felt true in the moment. But what I truly desired deep down was to be a steady, loving man that a woman can lean on, to meet her needs, to build a life together, to enjoy a beautiful, flourishing relationship in every sense of the word. That is what I wanted. That's what I chose to believe that God had designed for me. But man, it didn't always feel that way. Here's where it really got hard for me. I was scared. I was scared because I didn't have the same romantic feelings towards women that I did toward men. Sure, I could tell a girl was beautiful. I was drawn to different women. I liked them. I went on dates with girls I genuinely enjoyed being around. But I had this fear, this deep, gnawing fear, that I wouldn't be enough for them, that I couldn't give them what they deserved because I wasn't sexually aroused by them or enamored with them the way I was with some guys. And that fear, it felt so real. It felt like the truth. My mind would start spinning. What if I'm just not built for this? What if I'll never feel the way I'm, quote, supposed to feel? What if I'm broken? And those thoughts would trigger this wave of shame and self-doubt that would hit me like a ton of bricks. And let me tell you, that shame, it didn't just stay in my head. It showed up in my body. My chest would tighten, my stomach would churn, my shoulders would feel heavy, like I was carrying this invisible weight. And in those moments, it felt impossible to see past what my mind and body were telling me. It felt true that being with a man was the answer. It felt true that I'd never be enough for a woman. But those feelings, they were loud, they were convincing, but they weren't the truth. So, how did I start to untangle it? How did this truth start to feel more true? It started with getting really honest with myself about what it was that I truly wanted. Not what my feelings were telling me in the moment, but what I wanted for my life, for my future, for my relationships. And what I wanted, what I knew I wanted, was to build a life with a woman, to have a relationship that was intimate, steady, and flourishing. To be the kind of man who could love and serve and lead in a way that honored God's design for me. That was the truth I believed. And even though it didn't always feel true, I chose to believe it and I chose to act on it. And let me tell you, it wasn't easy because there were moments when those feelings would come rushing back and I'd have to stop and remind myself, this is just a feeling. It's valid. It's real. But it's not the truth. It's not the real me. I'd have to speak the truth that I loved out loud. That God created me uniquely for a woman. I am enough. I am capable of building the kind of relationship I desire. And over time, as I kept anchoring myself in the truth, those feelings started to lose their power. They didn't disappear overnight, but they stopped defining me. They stopped dictating my choices. And that's when I started to feel free. So I want to break this down a bit. The concept of living aligned with the truth, despite our feelings. It starts with our thoughts. This can apply to any kind of truth that doesn't feel true. Maybe it's the thought, I'm weak, or I just don't cut it, or I'm too broken for anyone to love me. In that thought, it triggers an emotion. Maybe that emotion is shame, fear, sadness, or anger. And here's the thing about emotions. They're immediate. They hit us like a wave. They're physical. Your chest tightens, your stomach drops, your breathing gets shallow, your shoulders tense up. And because emotions are so visceral, they feel true. They feel like reality. But the key is, emotions are not facts. They're just signals. They're telling us, pay attention. But they're not the whole story. And where it gets tricky, that initial emotion, let's say it's shame, it starts to spiral. Your mind grabs onto it and starts spinning a story. I'll never be enough. People will get hurt if they know me fully. Why even try? And the more you think those thoughts, the more the emotion intensifies. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire. And before you know it, you're stuck in this loop where what feels true, I'm not enough, completely drowns out what is true, that you are loved, you are complete in Christ, and that you're not defined by your struggles. So, in that moment, you notice yourself spiraling. When the thoughts and emotions start to take over, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Where is it showing up in my body? Am I feeling tense, anxious, overwhelmed? That's a sign that your feelings are trying to take over. Just notice the sensations. Don't judge them. Don't try to fix them. Just name them. And then get moving. Shift your state. Stand up, stretch, go for a walk. Do something physical to release the tension in your body. Because when your body feels different, your mind starts to feel different too. Next, ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? What is the story I am telling myself? Then write it down. Get it out of your head and onto paper. Because when you see it written down, it loses some of its power. It stops feeling so overwhelming. Now, here's a critical step. Challenge the thought. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this thought based on facts, or is it based on fear? And then replace it with the truth. For me, I've had to swap, I've screwed up too much, with I am clothed in Christ's righteousness, Isaiah 61:10. Instead of I am a liability, I tell myself people are better off when I'm around. When I hear myself think, I'm not strong enough, I can speak over me, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. There's so many things I have believed that weren't true. I am too needy. Other men could do the task that God has assigned for me to do better. My failures define me, and many more, but they weren't true. So then, shift your focus. Instead of ruminating on the lies, focus on what you can control in this moment. Take a deep breath, say a prayer, reach out to somebody you trust, and then get clear on what it is you truly want. Not what your feelings are telling you in the moment, but what you want for your life, your relationships, your future. Write that down. Pray about that. Reflect on it. Because when you know what you want, it becomes your anchor. It gives you something to hold on to when the feelings start to pull you in a different direction. And finally, take one small step toward the truth, towards what it is you decided you wanted. Maybe it's sharing your unwanted same-sex attractions with somebody you can trust. Maybe it's going on a date with somebody that you're interested in, even if it feels scary. Maybe it's simply choosing to believe for one more day that what God says about you and what's possible for your life is stronger than your feelings. Whatever it is, take the step. Because every step you take weakens the power of the lie and strengthens your connection to the truth. Guys, I know this isn't easy. I know the feelings can be so loud, overwhelming. They can be convincing. But I want you to hear me on this. The truth is stronger. God's truth about who you are, about your worth, about your future, that's unshakable. So keep pressing on. Keep speaking the truth. Keep leaning in to God's promises. You are loved. You are complete in Christ. You have been made clean. You have much to offer, and you are not alone. Finally, I want to emphasize that the greatest truth of all is the gospel. Romans 5:8 says, "While we were yet sinners, Christ died for us." He loves us just as we are. He likes us. He wants us to hang out with him. He knocks on the door of our heart. I pray that you would open the door for him to come in. If you would like support to make what is true feel more true, I invite you to work with me. Book a free session at ownyouridenitinynow.com. I'd love to hear your story, provide actionable tools, and share my transformative one-on-one and group coaching opportunities. God has so much in store for you. God bless.